people out there fighting for those independents, and for us to be able to do what we do on a normal basis, you know, it's just another day to be able to salute them and honor them.
I have the utmost respect for all those people. I mean, they're risking their lives on a daily basis to, you know, ensure our freedoms and making sure we can live the lifestyle that we're accustomed to living over here.
They're out there fighting, putting their lives on the line for each one of, you know, us and all of the Americans. And again, it's just it's a blessing that we have that support and these freedoms.
On days like those, you think about servicemen, servicewomen, and you know, count your blessings.
On this Monday evening in South Florida, baseball tonight. Long four-game series wrapping around the weekend ends, and the Marlins will try to win this series after a dramatic walk-off win yesterday. On a military Monday, we will salute the men and women in uniform all night long as the Marlins take on the Padres. Just a bit outside. No worries. Hi, everyone. Rich Waltz, along with Tommy Hutton. The Marlins coming off a terrific month of June, where they went 15-10, and coming off a feel-good win yesterday.
Yeah, it's amazing what a win like yesterday can do. The club has been playing well. Now the key as the month of July starts is to sustain the good play.
Well, it was good play. If you take a capsule of the ninth inning, Mike Redmond would like to bottle that up.
Yeah, the ninth inning was a great analyst's inning. A walk leading off the inning, a good AB by Logan Morrison. How about the at-bat of Marcell Ozuna? He singled, runners at first and second. Is Dietrich going to bunt? Is he going to swing away? Well, Mike Redmond decided to let him swing, knew he'd get that first pitch fastball. Tell you what, he just missed it. He got under it, but sent a fly ball deep enough to get Logan Morrison to third base. Next up was the pinch hitter in Greg Dobbs. He's put on base intentionally, and that brought up Jeff Mathis. He was trying to get a ball in the air. He knew a sacrifice fly would win the game, and boy, did he get a ball in the air into the bullpen. A grand slam, a walk-off grand slam, his first ever. It's his second grand slam of his career.
So yesterday, decided by a big blow. We start with the pitchers who go tonight, and if this kid is anything like he was in the month of June, Jose Fernandez will be special tonight. It's our Coventry Healthcare matchup.
You know, last time out, he didn't have his best of stuff, gave up 4 hits and just 1 run to Minnesota. That tells you how good he is. Had a tremendous month of June. He wants to carry that over. The 34-year-old veteran, Jason Marquis, he's had a good year for the San Diego Padres. He goes for them tonight.
It's only the 25th time he's ever faced the Marlins. Walk-off slams? Well, yesterday was the 4th. We'll go back into history and relive some of the bigger ones. All 3 of them. The Fish and the Padres. Marlins. Let's go out to center field. Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine.
Thank you very much, Rich Waltz, and good evening again, everybody. Wins are exciting, but they don't come more exciting than via the walk-off grand slam, right, Jeff?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, only 4 in Marlins history have ended that way. One of my ex-teammates, Bobby Bonilla, we don't have on tape tonight, but I was obviously there for that game, and it was a huge win coming down the stretch in 1997.
Big one there, and I remember that one. The place was going nuts. He hit in that open spot right center. Ugla, Stanton, Mathis. Let's look at some of these big shots in Marlins history. Again, only 4. Here's the second one from Danny Ugla.
I think he pretty much knew that one was gone. Oh, yes.
I used to like watching those upper deck shots in that ballpark. Look at the celebration. Matt Lindstrom in on it. Last year, Giancarlo.
Who can forget the pink bat walk-off grand slam from Giancarlo Stanton? This was a bomb. He knew it as well.
And that celebration, no matter what the years in this 20-year history, the same at the plate. And last night, Jeff Mathis doing it.
The pitcher knew it, too. He knew it was going to be deep enough to get out of here. Jeff Mathis trying to get a sac fly. That's all he needed to win the game, but it carried far enough to get 4 RBIs as well.
All right, now we always say that the momentum the next day is with the starting pitcher, but when you look a little further back and you see the Marlins have won 16 out of 26, the Marlins have been riding momentum for almost a month now.
Yeah, they've been playing great baseball, and they're getting it from everybody in the lineup. The bottom half of that lineup has been really contributing. Jeff Mathis back in the lineup tonight. He's only got 8 hits on the year, but he's got 11 RBIs with those 8 hits, and 7 of them for extra bases.
Military Monday here. Allison Williams and much more here tonight. Rich and Tommy with the call, and Jose Fernandez with the ball as he gets start number 16, going after his 5th victory of the season. First ever matchup against the Padres. You can't say that about Jason Marquis. It's his 17th start against the Fish. Coming up, the series finale.
Toyota, let's go places. By AT&T Uverse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PICK-AT&T. Rethink possible. By Just for Men Auto Stop, the foolproof way to get rid of gray. And by Checkers. Feast on. For the 16th time in his big league career, Jose Fernandez takes the mound, and you can follow right along with them here at Marlins Park. Fernandez with an ERA of 2.98, a 4-4 record, and it's on the line against the Padres. Jim Lexus brings you the Padres lineup. Logan Forsythe is at second base. Chris Denorfia gets a start His first start of the series in right field. Carlos Quentin back in the lineup. A pinch hit 2-run home run in yesterday's ballgame. Chase Headley still has yet to get going with the bat. He's at third. Big Kyle Blanks is at first base. Yasmani Grandal, the Miami product, will do the catching. Alexei Amaristas in center field. Pedro Siriaco, the shortstop. And Jason Marquis will hit ninth. And there is the University of Arkansas product, Logan Forsythe. He's had a nice series, including a homer and 4 hits. But as Tommy pointed out, the Marlins' Jose Fernandez did not face the Padres in San Diego in a series in which the Padres dominated the Fish. The Marlins scored just 1 run in that 3-game set.
Well, you think of the starters that the Padres have seen. They saw the complete game of Jacob Turner. They saw the 97-mile-an-hour fastballs from Nathan Eovaldi, and they get their first look at Jose Fernandez tonight.
Pinchipenny brings you the first pitch, and that first pitch is a fastball for a strike. And we're underway. Marlins, the walk-off win, a 6-2 win yesterday. And, of course, on Saturday night, a terrific complete game by Jacob Turner and a 7-1 win after the Padres beat the Fish 9-2 on Friday night. Forsythe was a big part of the win on Friday night. He had a 2-run homer, also singled, had 3 hits. Fouls that one back. They count 1-2.
I think what they'll see different in Jose Fernandez, they'll see an assortment, a few more pitches, certainly more than Eovaldi. They'll still see fastballs ranging from 92 to 98. They'll see some curveballs like that.
Breaking ball. Ed Lucas has it. Throws across in time. And there's an out here in the first. Miami's defense, which has gotten better as the year has gone along, is brought to you by the Cleveland Clinic, Florida.
And another start for Justin Ruggiano in left field. Ozuna and Stanton. Ed Lucas, is at third. Echeverria and Dietrich. They've formed a nice double play combo. Logan Morrison at first. Matheson there for the 3rd straight game, handling Jose Fernandez.
Here's Chris DeNorfia, who gets the start in right field. And a strike to DeNorfia. 96 miles an hour on the fastball. You can see DeNorfia already in discussion discreetly with Gary Darling, the home plate umpire, Jerry Meals, Paul Emmel, Chris Conroy. Also the men in blue tonight.
Well, 96 a strike, 97 a strike. No discussion after the 97. And quickly 0-2.
One question tonight. Can Jose Fernandez keep that right hand dry? That didn't miss by much.
One thing that Jose does to try to keep it dry, you'll see him, he'll pat the dirt on the mound.
Breaking ball, lined foul.
Doesn't go to the rosin bag a lot, and I found out today mainly because not a lot of rosin bags in Cuba. That's a good breaking ball. And so, because he pats the dirt, you'll see on the side of his pant leg there, he rubs it a lot. 2 or 3 innings, you'll see it's already got some dirt on it.
Sawed him off, busted bat. Dietrich waits for the bouncer and throws to first in time. So Fernandez, a couple of ground ball outs, and big Carlos Quentin comes to the plate. The game really changed yesterday when Quentin came up in the 7th. Nathan Eovaldi, 6 innings. Did not give up a run. Chad Qualls was in, and Qualls walked the leadoff man in the 7th. And then Quentin was called on as a pinch hitter, and he powered one out of here. And the Marlins, who had a 2-0 lead, saw it go up in smoke.
Yeah, he didn't waste any time on a slider from Qualls, and just like that, it was a tie game.
Drives that one to right field. That one's well hit. Stanton looks up. That ball is off the wall and then off Stanton, who picks it up. Quentin will stop at second base. For the Padres, Carlos Quentin is such a presence in their lineup. Very important that they keep him healthy and productive. And he doubles with 2 outs.
Boy, 2 swings between yesterday and tonight. A home run, a double. Stanton got a little too close, but you know what happens? You get to a point where you think you're going to make that catch, and then all of a sudden it's a little too late, and he got up against the fence, but there was no way Quentin was going to get any more than a double anyway.
Quentin immensely strong. And here is Chase Headley. So the Padres have Quentin going. They'd love to get Chase Headley going. Headley, who was the focus during spring training of many articles and news stories about whether the Padres and he could come to a long-term agreement. They did not, coming off his terrific year last year. And some think that may have affected his year this year. He was injured at the end of spring training, but you see where he was on June 30th last year. Obviously, he had a terrific second half.
But not a big difference in the home runs because he ended up with 31.
Breaking ball and a nasty one. And Fernandez strikes out Chase Headley. So we're underway in Miami. The Marlins coming to hit in the first. Watched by United States military tonight in 175 countries and ships at sea. Welcome to Miami. Welcome to the Marlins and the Padres. And please welcome in Allison Williams. Allie?
Hey there, Rich. We are so pleased at Fox Sports Florida to join those men and women watching overseas as part of the AFM. And, you know, every Monday the Marlins host several military personnel who have served this country. They offer them free tickets to the park, and we, too, want to tip our hat to all those serving the country. So we have a lot of special things for you throughout the broadcast. We'll get a chance to hear about some special Marlins connections to the military. We'll also chat with some military members who are in attendance at today's game. And we'll hear from Mike Dunn in the third inning about a very special initiative he has. It's called All for One, Done for All, where he hosts military families each and every Monday here at the ballpark. So a big thank you to everyone watching overseas, and we hope you enjoyed the show here today. Guys.
All right, A-Dub, thanks for that. And absolutely, whenever we're on American Forces Network, it's a big responsibility that you carry for us. So we're just happy that you have us along tonight. You got the Padres and the Marlins. Ruggiano bounces one to third. Chase Headley fires across. Many of the military might be Padre fans. The Padres have such a big presence. But the Marlins themselves the last few years have made trips overseas to visit military folk. JM Lexus brings you the Marlins lineup. You just saw Ruggiano. Ed Lucas is at third base. Giancarlo Stanton is in right. Logan Morrison at first base. Marcelo Zuna in center. Derek Dietrich at second base. Adeiny Echeverria at short. Jeff Mathis, the catcher. And Jose Fernandez is on the mound. And while the Marlins come in at just 29 and 51, they had the second best winning percentage in the National League in the month of June. And they're facing Jason Marquis tonight, the veteran right-hander.
See Marquis trying to pick up win number 10. He's been solid. You saw that last pitch. I think he wanted to strike on that last one. He stays in that area, down, move the ball in and out. Real good two-seamer. If he's on his game, he'll get ground balls.
Marquis misses away to Ed Lucas. Lucas has a hit in 7 trips in this series. Mike Redmond talking about Lucas tonight said, I just like having him in my lineup, and I like having him hit second. Lucas, a liner in a right center field. Amarista is there, and he runs it down and makes the catch. Well hit, but out number 2. And here come the Padres defensively. It's brought to you by the Cleveland Clinic, Florida.
Carlos Quentin is in left field. You saw Amarista. He can cover a lot of ground at center. Chris Denorfia in right. Headley, Siriaco, Forsythe, and Blanks around that Padre infield. And catching every game in this series, Yasmani Grandal.
Giancarlo Stanton now. Stanton, a home run, 2 RBIs in this series. He homered on Saturday night. And he slices one foul into the seats.
Of all the games, Rich, that Jason Marquis over his long career has pitched against the Marlins, he's been in 23 games, 16 starts. This is his first outing against the Marlins in this ballpark.
As you mentioned, for Marquis, a very nice outing against Miami back in May, back in San Diego, when the Marlins were a very different team. 17th career start against the Marlins. Stanton swings and misses. 25th overall appearance against the Marlins. He beat Miami 1-0. Back on the 8th. 8 innings, 5 hits, a walk and 3 strikeouts. 2-2. 2 good sliders from Marquis. Both pitchers look sharp through the first. Scoreless. Definition, and it's brought to you by H.H. Gregg. In Miami tonight, Marlins and Padres with a 20-year-old on the mound, Cuban-born Jose Fernandez. And Kyle Blanks takes a fastball for a strike. Blanks, big right-handed bat for the Padres in the 5 spot at first base to start the game. Yasmani Grandal, Alexei Amarista behind him. Little pop, Morrison drawn over.
and it's out of his reach.
The Marlins have done a pretty good job pitching to blanks in this series. He's 2 for 13. They've really worked him well inside with hard stuff and then tried to get him to chase breaking balls away.
1-2 pitch coming from Fernandez.
There's a fastball in.
A couple of significant home runs have already been hit tonight in baseball. Bryce Harper off the disabled list is homered against Milwaukee. Washington a 1-0 lead in the second.
Didn't take him long. He missed over 30 games.
Paul Goldschmidt is homered again for Arizona as Blanks takes called strike 3. 2 strikeouts for Fernandez. Arizona has a 2-0 lead in the top of the first in New York.
Well, good fastball, and that's one of the things Jeff Mathis said he was going to try to do, as he always does with Jose Fernandez, make sure he moves that fastball and establishes that in and out.
Fastball from Fernandez, and it's outside. We realize that whenever we're on American Forces Network, we're going everywhere. I mean, literally everywhere. And we have viewers that have not watched the Marlins nor the Padres or a whole lot of baseball. So the young man that's on the mound tonight, and forgive us if you've watched the Marlins a lot and you know the story, but the story is...
Well, it's a story worth telling many times.
It's just an incredible one. He was born in Cuba and decided at a young age he wanted to get to the United States and he wanted to play baseball. But obviously to do that, he had to escape the island. And when he was 13, he tried for the first time and was stopped. He would try 3 more times. Once, under hail of gunfire, he was stopped. He was jailed for a time. And it wasn't until his 4th attempt, when he was 15, an attempt that he helped plan, that he got on a boat with about 35, 40 others, including his mother, and headed towards Mexico. Here's the 2-2. A swing and a miss. While the boat was in the ocean, there was a shout that someone had fallen overboard, and Fernandez, all of 15, decided that he was best equipped to save whoever it was. And as he dove in the ocean and found that person, he found it was his mom and got her back to the boat and got to Mexico, got to the United States, got to Tampa, Florida, got to high school, and as a sophomore enrolled in Alonzo High School, took 3 English courses every year, his sophomore, junior, and senior year. His English is outstanding. Worked with another Cuban who had escaped.
Keep the story going, Rich. He struck out 2 and he's 0-2 on Amarista.
And the Marlins made him their first-round pick, the 14th overall.
And hitters, when they're 0-2 against Jose Fernandez, just to embellish the story, are 0 for 43 this year.
Orlando Chinea, the Cuban that worked with him in Tampa, and he still talks to him during the week, talks to him before every start. And so that's his story, and here he is, having not pitched above A ball, a 20-year-old starting the year in the big leagues, and he had a dynamite June and is having a terrific year, and a breaking ball is called strike 3. So now you know, if you've just happened by, about Jose Fernandez. And the 20-year-old in a scoreless struggle with the Padres.
from the bottom of my heart, and just want to say happy 4th of July.
And we will be talking to Mike Dunn in the 3rd inning. Scoreless ball game. Marathon second. Dunn out in the bullpen. A bullpen that probably will be called upon tonight. The Marlins have Jose Fernandez on close watch, trying to limit his innings, so to speak. And Marquis throws a strike to Logan Morrison. Morrison with Marcell Ozuna and Derek Dietrich coming up. Morrison has hit in 5 straight, and Marquis misses outside.
We're going to keep this one updated, Rich, but the last 3 games with Jacob Turner, Nathan Eovaldi in the 2 innings tonight from Jose Fernandez, 20 innings, 11 hits they've allowed, and just 1 run.
Nathan Eovaldi, Jacob Turner, Jose Fernandez, and soon to be Henderson Alvarez will join the rotation.
From what we've been told, Alvarez is going to pitch one of the games in Atlanta. There's Henderson. Had a really nice outing his last rehab start in Double-A, 7 2/3 innings. Did not allow a run and was in the rotation all year with the Toronto Blue Jays last year.
Morrison takes outside. Leadoff walk. He's aboard. That'll bring up Marcell Ozuna. Next Marlins watch party's coming up tomorrow night. Duffy's Sports Grill at the Intercoastal Mall in North Miami Beach. The Marlins and the Braves at 7:10. We'll be visiting with Chip and Joe and our favorite Joe V as well. Win prizes, meet Billy and the Energy Team, and wear your Marlins gear. Get your first drink free at Duffy's Sports Grill. Go to marlins.com for more info, and you can be at Duffy's. The Energy Team. Tommy, you could be partying with the Energy Team at Duffy's.
But we'll be in Atlanta, or will we be in St. Louis?
No, it's tomorrow night.
We'll be in Atlanta.
That's why I put the itinerary in your bag.
It'll also be email
and Twitter
Tuesday. So maybe, just maybe, some of our military that perhaps might be watching tonight, maybe some of our military can shoot us an email or a tweet tomorrow night.
Ozuna fouls one back to the screen. Now Marcell Ozuna has hit it 9 straight, 4 for 12 in this series. He's one of the real good stories around the Marlins this year. A guy that was called up in an emergency when Giancarlo Stanton blew out a hamstring. And a couple other young outfield prospects were injured. And Ozuna came up having played just 10 games above Single-A. And you can see what he's done as far as batting average. He's got 17 doubles, driven in 26, and has been outstanding defensively. First in right, and then when Stanton came back, moved over to center. And takes that ball into left center field. Quentin and Amarista. And it's Amarista who makes the catch. 1 out. Morrison holds it first.
Let's check in on the scouting report for the 34-year-old veteran, Jason Marquis. As they say, let's see what he brings to the table or brings to the mound. Late-breaking slider, he threw a couple of good ones to Giancarlo to strike him out. Not overpowering. And certainly a seasoned veteran, 121 career wins to 112 losses.
Be an interesting night tomorrow night for Derek Dietrich, who gets back to Atlanta, a Georgia Tech product. Was a shortstop at Georgia Tech. The Tampa Bay Rays took him in the 2nd round. Of course, the Marlins traded for him, sending Yunel Escobar to the Rays.
Have to see if he's planning on a visit to the old campus.
Sends a shot right at the feet of Forsythe. And is it a catch or a trap?
I think it was a trap.
Morrison did the smart thing because he was going to be out at first anyways. He keeps going. Both umpires seem to be confused. One umpire says out. The other one says trap.
Well, it looked like he trapped it.
And here comes Mike Redmond out. And the Padres are obviously exiting the field. Bud Black is an interested observer. We'll look at it when we come back. But obviously a double play has ended the inning. Oh! It's a bang-bang play to finish off the bottom of the second. Here's a few looks. First from behind home plate.
Keep in mind, Paul Emmel at second doesn't have a couple of looks. From our naked eye, first thought was that it was trapped. But it really looks like Forsythe was able to catch it and complete the double play. It's a tough play, a well-hit ball by Dietrich. That's good to see, too. He continues to have good swings.
Pedro Siriaco goes after the first pitch and lifts it into right field. Giancarlo Stanton is there and makes the catch. And we're joined now by Marlins reliever Mike Dunn. Hi, Dunner. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
It's a little early for you to get in the game.
Yeah.
But it's significant to have you on tonight because tonight it is a game that is carried on the American Forces Network. We're in 145, 147 countries aboard ships at sea and all of that. So there's a lot of military folk getting a chance to watch this ball game. And you have a very special program that you started, All for One, Done for All. Tell me about the program and why you started it.
It was just something that me and my wife had talked about doing. I went fishing with Wounded Warriors last year during the Fan Fest and got to hang out with them for about 3 hours. And it really meant something to me to just be able to sit down and talk to those guys for a while. So me and my wife talked and really wanted to kind of give back. And it was something, you know, we hooked up with the Little Warrior Project, which really focuses on the whole family, not just the Wounded Warrior. And just kind of every Monday we bring 10 people out and get to spend some time with them, talk to them, see how they're doing. For a lot of them, some of them it's the first baseball game they've been to. And it's just a little something that, you know, hopefully puts a smile on their face, gives them a little entertainment while they're here. Some of the kids that are out here, their parents are gone overseas fighting for our freedom, so it's just one little thing that we're able to do for them.
Mike, I know you said you and your wife talked about it. Any background in your family as far as the military?
Nothing. No, nothing too recent, really.
What about the coins? We saw that bag of coins that you were giving out. What significance do those hold?
They're a challenge coin. In the military, they have challenge coins that you get whenever you're in a specific unit. We talked and thought it would be kind of cool to be able to give a coin to the kid, so whenever their parents come back, they know the meaning of a challenge coin, to be able to kind of show it to their parents, and it's something for them to kind of connect with. What have you learned about the military that you didn't know when you started this program? I mean, it's just unbelievable. Just talking to these guys every Monday, you hear new stories all the time. The biggest thing is we look at the sacrifices that they make for us is unbelievable, things that we overlook. We get to go home and see our families every night. These people are gone. These men and women are gone for years at a time that don't get to see their families. It's nice to be able to see them back together, and you
you just hear different stories. It's just that I can't really pinpoint one. It's really touching to talk to them.
So coming in to face a left-hander in the 7th, 8th inning pales in comparison to what the military sacrifices.
Yeah, I mean, we look at like a bad day in our life is easiest day of their life. You know, we can't really compare to what they're doing, and can't say thanks enough to those guys those men and women out there fighting for us to be able to live a normal life and live here and be able to play this game of baseball.
Full count to Logan Forsythe with 2 outs here in the 3rd, and it's inside. Mike, as well, you talk about the sacrifice that the men and women in uniform make. I would expect that the sacrifice that the families make back home is immense as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you meet some of these kids that they've barely seen their parents. They've barely seen either their mom or their dad. They get to see them for months at a time, and then they're gone again to fight for us and put their lives on the line for us. And just to be able to kind of sit down and talk to those kids and tell them how much we appreciate it. And, you know, we know it's tough for them, but to be able to see the smiles on their face when they come out here, and, you know, it's just one game that they get to come to, or if they get to come out here multiple times on Mondays, it's awesome to see smiles on their faces.
Hey, let's shift the conversation a little bit to what the Marlins did in the month of June. A lot of fans and people that cover the ball club have taken note of the record. What did June feel like for you?
Yeah, it was awesome. We played a lot of close games, but we were winning those games, and we finally got healthy. We got a lot of key guys back, and we're still getting guys back with Alvarez coming back. So it was a fun June to have a winning record throughout the month of June. I think we doubled our wins just in that 1 month. So it was definitely a fun June compared to the first 2 months.
A slip of the mound by Jose Fernandez and a wild throw to first. Fernandez, it looked like he either caught a spike, and you could see the smile on his face, caught a spike or just stumbled. There's a look at it, Tommy.
Yeah, as he completed the throw, one that was in the dirt, Lomo couldn't get it. A tough play for him, but yeah, that back cleat looked like it slipped, gave way a little bit.
He actually had him picked off.
And he's picked some guys off. He has a quick move over there. I think the other thing, Mike, is we focus on the bullpen. It looks like as the month of June went on, everybody's roles started to materialize and settle in, too.
Oh, yeah, you know, it's just as the game gets going, we've gotten into more of a little bit, everyone knows the situation of the game and when each other is going to be going into the game. So it's been a little bit easier to prepare for an outing. You can kind of just see how the game's playing out and really kind of have an idea of who, if not one of 2 guys that's going to be going in the game.
Now, normally we thank you for the conversation, but we're just going to thank you for all that you do with the military and the families. A terrific job, Mike. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Mike.
I just want to say thank you.
All right. Scoreless.
Three times, too, up and down the dugout.
It's like, hey, did you see what I did out there? All right, let's check in with Allison Williams. Hey, Dub?
Hey there, guys. Thanks very much. I'm so pleased to be joined now by Army veteran Sergeant Lennon Hernandez. Served 2 tours of duty in Iraq and was awarded a Purple Heart after being injured in combat. And Sergeant Hernandez, there's some guys overseas, women overseas watching right now on AFN. What do you remember about kind of the release sports provided you when you were able to watch during your time of service?
Well, it's fun. Most of the sport we got to see overseas, it was major events like Super Bowls and such. So it boosts the morale up a lot, and it's so much fun to be able to share that with, arms and brothers. It's real nice.
I know you've had some fun here today. You got a chance to throw out the first pitch. How was that?
It was it's amazing, just trying to concentrate and, to get the ball in the right spot and not hit any of the crew members. So it's a blessing.
Did you get a little nervous?
Yeah, a little nervous. I don't really have that much of a good arm, but, I try my best.
You had the Marlins jersey on when you threw out the first pitch, but where is it now?
Well, it's signed by Mr. Nolasco, so I go ahead and fold it, and I probably have it framed. So it's in a bag in a safe place.
And now that you are retired from the Army, you volunteer with Operation Homefront. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, Operation Homefront is a great organization. They provide many services for wounded veterans, active duties, and pretty much any military personnel in need. They even give away houses if it's an application, but it's possible. And they provide you with if you need money for house bills, and those sorts of things. So it's a great organization, and I encourage any any military personnel to please go on the website and take a good look at it, and it might benefit you or a friend or any other brothers in arms overseas or even in the stateside.
All right, so Operation Homefront. Sergeant Hernandez, thank you so much. Enjoy this time with your beautiful family.
Thank you so much.
Guys, back to you.
All right, thank you. That's quite a moment. Jeff Mathis takes down low. Now, Jeff Mathis is in the lineup tonight, and while Mike Redmond certainly applauds the walk-off grand slam, he also likes him working with the younger pitchers. He's got Jose Fernandez out there. Remember, it was Mathis that was in the lineup day game after a night game. Mathis had a base hit on Saturday night and got a start yesterday, responded with that grand slam, and he draws a walk. Here comes Fernandez with 1 out, and he's probably in a bunting situation. The Clevelander at Marlins Park is the best party in baseball. No questions asked. Literally. And tickets are on sale for individuals and groups. Experience the most unique group area in sports with field-level seats, a pool, a full bar, and grill, and all the entertainment from the original South Beach location. There's the bunt, and it's fouled off. Go to Marlins.com today. Marlins baseball in the Cleveland.
The other thing, Rich, about Jeff Mathis, Mike Redmond said, how can I not start a guy who just won the game with a walk-off grand slam the night before?
Fernandez takes in, and it's 1-1. There's the bunt. It's a good one, and Fernandez is tagged out.
We've seen Jose do a real nice job in dropping down sac bunts. That's his 4th this year. Kevin Slowey leads the club with 5.
A reminder that this copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Marlins, may not be reproduced, retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Well, here's Ruggiano, and here's the benefit of having Ruggiano in the leadoff spot is that you get to a spot where the pitcher does bunt someone into scoring position. You have someone who's capable of knocking him in. Ruggiano takes a strike, and it's 0-1.
And Ruggiano still leading the ball club with those 28 RBIs. Right behind him, though, with 26 is Marcell Ozuna.
And coming fast.
Talking about all the hits Ozuna has gotten. So many of those have been big hits. There they are
Ozuna above and beyond anybody else in a Marlins uniform with runners in scoring position. He's hitting .415. But Ruggiano's had his share of big hits. Ruggiano .275 with runners in scoring position. Jason Marquis. He's one of those guys who has been there and done that for just about everybody in baseball. Ruggiano, big rip, 2-2.
And Rich, not too many guys.
There's a Pearl Harbor vet.
Wow. Yeah.
Go USA, baby, USA!
How cool is that? How many generations do you have there?
Have you visited the Pearl Harbor site in Hawaii?
I have not.
Oh, it's breathtaking. I'm going to mention Marquis. One of the few guys as a pitcher was an all-star with the Rockies. In 2009, he was 15-13 with Colorado. They made the all-star team that year.
Marlins saw a lot of him as a Washington National in 2010 and 2011. He was also with the Arizona in 11. The Twins and the Padres in 2012.
He had a nice 3-year run with the Cardinals, too.
Yes, he did. He had his best year ERA-wise. One of his best years ERA-wise with the Cardinals. Early in his career, as a part-time starter in Atlanta in 2001, he had a 3.48 earning. But a good dose of Dave Duncan did him well in the middle of his career. The 3-2. Ruggiano fouls it off out of play. So a scoreless game at the bottom of the third. I mentioned the Marlins had the second best record in the National League in the month of June. That's it. I mean, if you asked a lot of people that question around baseball, they might not come up with that answer. Only Pittsburgh, and most people would have that answer, only Pittsburgh had a better winning percentage in June than the Marlins. Ruggiano to center, Amarista has it, and he makes the catch. And the Fish are done in the third. 3 scoreless innings in Miami tonight.
Yes, sir! Yes!
On a daily basis to, ensure our freedoms and making sure we can live the lifestyle that we're accustomed to living over here. And, for them to risk everything, it's, God bless them all.
In Miami tonight on a Military Monday, Jose Fernandez and the Fish facing the Padres. It's a scoreless game, and we check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Well, Rich, thank you very much. The month of June is gone, but boy, the Marlins played great compared to the first 2 months. Take a look at the numbers. When you look at just 14 wins the first 2 months of the season, they surpassed that entirely in the month of June with their 34th ever 15-plus win month, with the 15 wins and the 10 losses. But the other numbers, you look at the average, 35 points higher on a batting average. The on base was 22 points better. The slugging, maybe this is one of the biggest difference, 66 points better in the month of June. You see the ERA, although the pitching was good enough probably to win a lot more games in April and May, guys, certainly in this past month, that ERA down about a half a run a game. And you put all that together and you get some wins. They asked him, Mike Redmond, about keeping it going. He said number one, although the offense has been a key for us, is pitching and defense. But I think, guys, they've shown the pitching and defense. I think it's just all on the offense here. Sure, you have to pitch and play D, but the Marlins can get some key hits. They've shown in the first couple of months here that when they do, they win a lot of those games. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Craig. Yeah, but certainly, as we talked about, trying to go from June to July now is the challenge. Can they carry over what they started in June and translate it into July? A swing and a miss by Carlos Quinton as he tries to muscle up, and the count is 1-2. Quinton facing Jose Fernandez, doubled off the wall in right back in the first. Something happened in Cuba that had not happened in a long time. And that was a Major League Baseball game was shown on television.
Cuba is a replay of a game.
It was. It was a replay of a nearly 2-month-old matchup, and there were no Cuban stars who had defected from Cuba. It was the Nationals against the Braves. Quinton swings and misses, and Jose Fernandez, who escaped when he was 15, as his 6th strikeout.
Well, he is on track and making outstanding pitches. I love the way he busted a pitch in. It was a ball to Quinton, who gets hit a lot, but you have to pitch him in. Then he struck him out with a hard breaking ball.
Breaking ball misses outside to Chase Headley. So it apparently was a stripped down version of the Nationals versus the Braves. There were no commercials. The game lasted just an hour and a half without the commercials. Cuban commentators replaced Bob Carpenter and F.P. Santangelo. And it was significant because baseball, at least legally in Cuba, Major League Baseball is not shown there. Now, having been around the Cuban national team for 3 weeks over in Japan, the World Baseball Classic, I can tell you that those Cuban players, the manager, the coaches, they watch Major League Baseball. Now, the Cuban people are unable to get it, but the Cuban players that I talk to, they watch Major League Baseball, so they're able to see Cespedes and Puig and Aroldis Chapman, and I'm sure they're watching Jose Fernandez. And some may be watching this show tonight. Liner to right, Stanton is there and makes the catch, and they should be pretty darn proud. Jose Fernandez Honda. Visit your Honda dealer for great lease and finance deals on fuel-efficient Hondas. Military Monday in Miami. Miami and San Diego, two cities certainly that are steeped in military tradition.
You and I talk about it a lot. We love it at Petco and in San Diego on a Sunday when the military presence is there. Upper deck, usually one side's the Army, one side's the Navy. And they have a lot of fun.
Oh, they do, and it's great to watch them come in an orderly fashion, one row at a time. It's great to watch them get up and go get something to eat. You know, each row is dismissed to go get a hot dog or whatever they want. Jerry Coleman always comes in.
Oh yeah,
and he of
the
course,
Colonel.
He of course a military hero and a baseball legend and a Hall of Famer. Ed Lucas is up. Jason Marquis has matched Jose Fernandez so far tonight. This bottom of the fourth, little tapper to third. Headley a Gold Glover at third, and throws Lucas out.
Obviously, a lot different is Jason Marquis than his last outing. His last outing, he lost to the Phillies 6-2, and he gave up 6 runs and 6 hits in just 4 1/3 innings. He told me the other night that he just didn't have the command of that two-seamer that he certainly has tonight.
Well, he used a couple of wicked breaking balls to get Stanton. And so he starts him with a fastball that misses in, and it's 1-0. Came right back in there. And it's 2-0. Checkers bringing you Fox Tracks tonight. Fox Tracks, the advanced technology that covers the strike zone to well within an inch. It's the same technology that Major League umpires are graded on. After they call a game, they'll get a DVD with the Fox Tracks printout.
I'll tell you what, Marquis has Stanton going after that slider away, just like that. A couple of them in this at bat, and that's how he struck him out in the first inning.
So you would think that's where he's going again before this at bat is done.
So Giancarlo is going to have to adjust.
He lays off that one. Morrison on deck, 1 out in the bottom of the fourth. He left that one up and got away with it.
That one, even if it's away, looks good. Your eyes light up.
Stanton takes that one in the dirt, and it'll bring Morrison up. And we check in with Allison Williams.
Well, Rich, all the Marlins have an appreciation for the men and women who serve our country, but for Logan Morrison, that connection is personal. Marlins fans know the story about his late father, Tom, who served 28 years for the Coast Guard, and one of the ways he pays tribute to him is with the tattoo he has on his left arm. If you take a look, there's a few things that are very significant. For starters, you can see the oars there, which are part of the Coast Guard, held by an eagle. There is also a $100 bill, which is symbolic of the money that Tom promised Logan to get him to hit with a wooden bat when he was a youngster. He said, if you hit with the wooden bat, I'll give you the home run with the wooden bat, I'll give you the $100. There's also a silhouette of a father holding his baby, and he said it symbolizes a father introducing his son to life and baseball, because there's a baseball diamond next to the silhouette, and on that diamond on the third base there's a starburst, because in the first game that Tom came and watched Logan in, he hit his first big league triple. There's also Tom's favorite gun. You can kind of see it there. It's a 6-hour, and he was a small arms instructor during his time in the Coast Guard. It's just one of the ways, though, Lomo pays tribute to his late father. He also has, of course, our favorite, the Coast Guard salute whenever he hits a home run as he crosses home plate to the sky. Guys.
Thank you, Allison. A 1-1 pitch coming to Logan Morrison. And, of course, his father played college football at Kansas and didn't know much about baseball. When Morrison announced that he wanted to play baseball, his father went to the nearby library to look for a book on baseball. And in the Kansas City area, it's Royals country, and so he found Charlie Lau's Art of Hitting 300, which was Charlie Lau, the famed hitting instructor. His book all about working with George Brett, who quickly became Logan Morrison's favorite hitter and player, and that's why Morrison wears the number 5.
They get a chance to meet this year. George Brett came out of the front office to be the hitting instructor for the Royals, and the Marlins go to Kansas City for some interleague play.
Morrison finally met Brett at the All-Star game last year. Here's the 3-1. Outside, and Morrison walks. Now, Morrison, one of the Marlins who has gone overseas, and this is a couple of years ago. Morrison on a trip with a variety of Marlins. Jeff Conine was there. And, of course, you have to have a Marine haircut while you're over there. And so Morrison got the haircut.
Yeah, knowing Lomo, he just said, bring it on.
John Buck was with them as well.
Andre Dawson, the Hawk.
Here's Ozuna. 1 out, first and second. And Ozuna cracks one. Diving stop by Siriaco. Wow. And he holds it. That's a big play for the Padres. An acrobatic play by Siriaco.
Marcell Ozuna, even with Siriaco cheating for a double play, adjusted and made just a tremendous acrobatic play. Ozuna, before that swing, was hitting .415, 22 for 53 with runners in scoring position. We talked about a lot of his big hits earlier. Good job by Stanton, too, to not get doubled off.
Dietrich. Now, Dietrich hit a BB right at the feet of Logan Forsythe, and that ended the second. He lined into a double play. With Morrison at first, Morrison wasn't sure whether to go to second or stop at first. The umpires weren't real clear to begin with. As it was, Morrison was going to be out one way or the other. Forsythe felt he caught it through to first, and the umpires ruled that he did catch it. Breaking ball, ground ball, well off the bag. Blanks, flips over to Marquis, and Marquis, with some help from his shortstop, gets out of the fourth. Scoreless, headed to the fifth.
Walk-off! Grand slam! Jim Mathis!
Good punctuation mark there, Hut.
You know, I almost said, I'll be honest with you, I almost said his name. It is Jeff Mathis.
I thought you were going to yell Morty. Morty. Remember the dramatic home run that Mike Mordecai hit?
You know, it's great about Mathis. He's, number one, doing a great job handling Fernandez tonight, but 8 hits on the year, 11 RBIs, 3 doubles, a triple, and 2 home runs.
Well, Craig pointed out slugging percentage is a big number, and Mathis has contributed to that. Meanwhile, back on the mound, Jose Fernandez facing Yasmani Grandal. Alexei Amarista, Pedro Siriaco. Fernandez misses outside with a breaking ball.
Every start, it's been fun to watch Fernandez and to see what pitches are working. We haven't seen a lot of changeups in this one tonight. Breaking balls, good fastball he has going.
Gets a ground ball out to open up the 5th. Time now for the Just for Men Auto Stop Foolproof Stat. Walk-off grand slams. Now you saw Bonilla's. That was your first year as a Marlin broadcaster.
Yeah, and you heard Jeff Conine talking about it on Marlins Live. It was in, you see, September 16th, and it came at a big time.
And tapes of it have been lost to the sands of time. They've slipped through the hourglass, apparently. But
which does happen.
We were both there for Dan Ugla's grand slam, a walk-off shot against Tom Gordon and the Phils. Mother's Day, who could forget the pink bat, Giancarlo Stanton of last year, and then Mathis yesterday. Ozuna makes the catch.
So tonight, getting back to the repertoire of Jose Fernandez, a good mix of fastballs and breaking balls. Curveball's been there, a few sliders. But we haven't seen many changeups, which is okay. You can always mix that in as the game goes on.
If you're scoring at home on style points and dazzle factor, well, Fernandez is winning on points. 6 strikeouts, a walk. Marquis, 4 walks and a strikeout. But of course, a look at the scoreboard. The Marlins don't have a run, the Padres don't have a run, and the Marlins don't have a hit. And so point Marquis on that. So they're dead even here with 2 outs in the top of the 5th. And Siriaco, who seemingly swings at everything, fouls one back to the screen. Here's your AT&T Uverse Twitter poll. Will Jose Fernandez be named to the National League All-Star team? Hashtag Jose yes, hashtag Jose no.
Sure hope so.
He didn't swing at that. That was up around his eyes.
His ERA after so far 4 2/3 innings of shutout ball is down to 2.82. Talked about the way he pitched in the month of June. How about that? Pirates' Jeff Locke, though, had a tremendous month because he put some wins with that 1.67 ERA too.
Yeah, and the Pirates, as we noted, had the best winning percentage in the National League, while the Marlins had the 2nd best in the National League. There's the breaking ball, and down goes Siriaco. And so Fernandez gets another strikeout. The Marlins still looking for their first hit in a scoreless ball game. forces serving in 175 countries and aboard ships at sea around the world: Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, South Korea, and Japan. Welcome tonight, our Subway 5th inning. That would be dessert. This would be a scoreless ball game, and if you go further down to the right of the line score, the Marlins don't have a hit. The Padres have just one.
You want some?
See, you have that dessert after you've had a nice Subway sub.
Jason Marquis has been very good for the Padres. He gets the bottom third of the order. Adeiny Echeverria, Jeff Mathis, and Jose Fernandez. Echeverria bounced out back in the third. So there's no chance that they will show the Marlins and the Padres game in Cuba on a tape-delayed basis.
No, you're right.
Because the Marlins have a couple of players that have defected from Cuba in Echeverria and Fernandez.
Yasmani Grandal.
And there's a base hit into center field. So the Marlins have their first hit, and it comes here in the 5th. Mathis and then Fernandez.
This is a picture-perfect swing for Echeverria, and that's what Tino Martinez works with him on. Get those hands back, get ready, and think center, right center. Good swing by Etch.
Tino Martinez always hard at work. Mathis takes down low. Whether it's in the cage, whether it's in the video room, whether it's out at batting practice. Runner goes, hit and run, little ground ball going to trickle into right field for a base hit. Echeverria to third, up with the ball, Denorfia.
Oh, what a thing of beauty. That hole opened up on the right side with the second baseman, Forsythe, covering the bag. The hit and run was on. Etch looked over his shoulder. And watch this hole open up right in here. There goes the runner. Make contact, hit it on the ground, and if you can, find that hole. Beautifully done by Jeff Mathis.
So Mike Redmond peering out of the dugout. Joe Espada, as soon as Echeverria arrived at third base, Espada went down to home plate to talk to Jose Fernandez. Middle infield's back for 2. Headley creeps in at third. And Fernandez, a good hitting pitcher. He's turned himself into a nice hitter in his rookie season.
Marlins pitchers have 3 RBIs. Jose has all 3. You're not going to squeeze here because you don't want to bunch yourself into a double play and get out of the inning.
And you have an RBI guy on deck in Ruggiano.
You got a guy who can pick up a run.
And even if Fernandez hits a ground ball up the middle, you'll take the run and give up the 2 outs. Especially with Fernandez on the mound and the way he's throwing tonight.
And you have a little speed at third base in Echeverria.
Mathis, the runner at first. There's Echeverria. 1-1. And Marquis using that slider that he's been able to get Stanton to chase.
A slider tonight for Marquis has been devastating.
And look at how consistent he's been.
They're all in the same spot. That's why you only see one.
Now the 1-2. He threw it again, but he left this one over the plate.
That one looked like it backed up a little bit and stayed on the plate. You know he wants to go off the plate with it.
Outfield not too deep, especially in right with Denorfia. 1-2 coming. Got him. Struck him out. And so up comes Ruggiano. Now if you're Marquis, you're looking for a ground ball to get out of the inning.
Boy, he's such a competitor. He wanted this. It was up a little bit, and Marquis just continued to pound him with good pitches.
So the battle here is Ruggiano wants something he can drive or lift, and Marquis is looking for either a strikeout or a ground ball. And so he buries a slider for ball one. The Marlins trying to open July just like they ended June. There's a ground ball, might be to Siriaco, falls over but gets the feed, and the Padres get the double play. Forsythe turned it, and Siriaco with an acrobatic play at short, and Marquis gets out of the jam.
Thank you for your service. It's greatly appreciated.
Derek Dietrich, Miami's second baseman. Miami finally gets their first two base hits, but the Padres and their veteran starter Jason Marquis get out of it. Watch the play of the shortstop, Pedro Siriaco.
It almost looked like his right leg, as he started to make the throw, buckled and went down. He was still able to complete the throw for the 6-4-3 double play. Siriaco's made a couple of outstanding plays. Remember the line drive that he snagged off the bat of Ozuna with runners at first and second. So he's made two tremendous plays tonight.
Here is Marquis, and here is Allison Williams.
Thank you very much. Here with Dr. Raydell Cornelio, founder of Little Warriors, and spent an extensive amount of time serving our country. First of all, how many years of service and what branches?
Total 10 years of service, with about 5 in the Navy, then 2 in the Army, and the rest of the time in the Air Force. And once I got out, I decided to start the Little Warrior Project because, like many other servicemen and women, I spend the majority of the time away from my son. He's actually over there. And by the time he was 4 years old, I was around maybe a few months. So I decided to start this, and then we met up with Mr. Dunn, and he was nice enough to afford us the opportunity to come out here every Military Monday and enjoy the game with our families.
How did that relationship begin with you and Mike Dunn?
I was actually one of the ladies from the Marlins Ayudan team reached out to us because we had done work with them before, and they told me, hey, we have a player here that would like to do something and give back to the community. He's very interested in helping military families. So he met with me, and it was a hit right from the start.
How special has this event and Dunn's cooperation been for your organization?
It's been great. I mean, like the majority of the guys that come here, it's been the first time for the park. The first time I came to the park was doing one of these events, and then anybody else that I've come with or that I've had the opportunity to bring for the All for One, Done for All project, they have loved it. They like especially the chance that they get to be on the field, meet the players, and get interviewed by them, talk to them, tell them, look, I played baseball too when I was younger, and the little
kids
kids
go full
on.
circle.
Yes, they love it though. They eat it up. My son, he's like, look, my shirt's signed by Mr. Dunn. So,
very nice. And I'm also here with Staff Sergeant Nathan Cruz. Tell me a little bit about your day here at Marlins Ballpark. Have you been before?
Oh, well, I've been here before doing with the other organizations, but this is the first time through the Little World Project, and we have the opportunity to bring my kids. Well, my kids don't spend that much time with me. They live with their mom in Alabama, so they're spending summer with me. It's an awesome time, right place, I guess. The kids are having a blast here watching the game and being a part of it. You know, kids suffer our injuries. You know, they don't talk or get injured, but they see the daddy that can run, daddy can walk. They suffer as much as we do, and kids tend to be forgotten in all of this. You know, the Wounded Warrior get all the participation, but programs like this bring the kids into their perspective too, which is a big part.
Because they truly are little warriors.
They are little warriors. You know, they go through it. When we deploy, they spend a year without daddy. Then daddy comes back and daddy's injured, and they see daddy on the bed. They go to the suffering and pain that I went, spending 2 years in the hospital, seeing daddy that can move, that can run. They suffer as much as we do, even more, because you know we can't deal with this stuff in our brains, but psychologically, these kids need the help and need the attention too, and be part of events like this. It's amazing.
Well, I'm glad you're able to spend this time with your family and come out and enjoy a good ball game.
All right, thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you for all you do. It was a pleasure to chat with all of you, and I know it's something that Mike Dunn, as he told us in the third inning, it really means a lot to him, and you can see the smiles and the fun going on out here. Guys.
Allison, it's a fun night tonight, not only to be on the American Forces Network, but to see so many military personnel and families inside the ballpark.
There is I would say, the most we've seen at any Monday night game. It's been a great presence tonight. They're getting treated to a fantastic pitching duel, and Jose Fernandez has been tremendous. That is strikeout number 9.
Yeah, 9 strikeouts worth of tremendous. 6 innings worth of tremendous. Monday at Marlins Park. Jose Fernandez And Jason Marquis with quite a duel here tonight. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton, Allison Williams, Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine. The whole cast of characters will be by for Marlins Live after the ball game. Fernandez has been downright nasty. 74 pitches, 9 strikeouts, a walk, a hit in 6 innings.
Jason Marquis now with his 5 shutout innings. Remember, he went 8 shutout innings against the Marlins in San Diego.
High throw, safe at first. Siriaco, who made the terrific play on the double play to prevent a run, going in the hole, sailed it, and Lucas got down the line quickly and under the tag.
Boy, now it's an opportunity to try to take advantage of a guy who's made a couple of terrific plays. All of a sudden, the arm angle drops, gets the throw a little high, and Blanks can't get the tag on Ed Lucas. But Marquis has gone 13 shutout innings now against the Marlins this year.
Stanton. And Marquis misses. Now Stanton struck out on sliders that were off the plate in the first. He laid off those pitches and walked in the fourth. It's going to be an error on Pedro Siriaco.
Yeah, these are the 2 guys that Marquis has really pitched delicately, but he can't do that with Lucas reaching. He's walked Morrison twice. And as you just mentioned, he walked Stanton his last time.
Stanton gets a strike. Giancarlo Stanton. His season shortened by injuries. In fact, for Stanton, coming into play tonight, this is only game number 39. He has 147 at bats, 8 doubles, 8 homers. He's driven in 22. It's low, and now it's 3-1. And Marquis doesn't want to give in and give him something straight out over the plate. But he also doesn't want to spin one away and have Stanton end up at first and push Lucas to second on a walk. Breaking ball, and he left it out.
That's a good swing. He got the slider, but it had a lot of the plate. And you talked about Stanton this year, last year playing in 123 games. Giancarlo with 37 home runs.
You could see that last pitch and how everything else was either out of the zone. That one pitch, pitch number 3, was at the knees. Bud Black, who in his career was a very good left-handed starter in the big leagues. 3-2 coming. Lucas is running, and Stanton checks his swing and is on his way to first. And the Marlins are set up now, first and second, and nobody out.
I think, Rich, this last month and now this the first day of July, one of the other little subtle things we've seen more of, I think a lot of it's because Mike Redmond's learning more about his guys, who's in the right situation. We've seen more runners on the move. We've seen a little more movement. We saw a hit and run earlier tonight. We saw Lucas on the move with a strikeout guy at the plate, went ahead and sent him.
Logan Morrison has always been known as a very patient hitter, and that's been on display this year as he's come back and come back healthy. He wasn't as patient when he was hitting on one leg last year. He drives this ball to left. Quinton is back, and he's there, and he makes the catch. So Morrison hit it on the button. The Marlins still first and second, but Marquis has the first out of the inning. A reminder that you can bring your group out to see the Marlins with a variety of affordable group packages. Marlins Park features air-conditioned comfort, incredible food and beverage options, premium group entertainment, and you can reserve for your group today. 1-877-MARLINS. Go to marlins.com/groups.
I remember the last time in the 4th inning when Ozuna was up. Very similar situation. Runners at first and second. There was one out, and he hit that screaming line drive to the right of Siriaco, who made a diving catch.
Been an interesting process in watching Marcell Ozuna. His first 3 weeks were dynamite. He hit a patch of about a week and a half where he was chasing balls out of the zone, and that's all he saw. He stopped, got back on track. And one curious thing now, Tommy, he had about a 7 to 10 day period where he was blistering first pitches. And so you could see the shift immediately. Suddenly he wasn't getting anything to hit on first pitches. And to his credit, he hasn't chased on those first pitches. That's a strike.
I think the Dodgers will have to see that with Yasiel Puig. I was reading an article. He's hitting 500-600 on first pitches. So pretty soon that's going to get around. He's not going to see a lot of good first pitches to hit.
Ozuna pops it up. First base side. 3 Padres coming over, and that one, Yasmani Grandal reached, and it almost looked like it was in reach, and either he just flat out missed it or it glanced off his glove.
They cleared the area for him. It looked catchable, but certainly a difficult attempt. But he was there. Boy, as a hitter, you take a big, deep breath and you say, okay, I have one more shot.
Still just one out. Lucas at second. Stanton at first. Dietrich on deck. The 1-2. Off the end of the bat, and it finds a home in right center. And here comes Lucas. He's going to score. Stanton at third. He's in there. Ozuna to second. He's in there.
Everybody loves it.
And the Marlins have a 1-0 lead. And Ozuna continues to lead the Fish with runners in scoring position.
23 for 55 now with runners in scoring position. I love the base running of everybody. Ball wasn't hit hard. You pointed out a little bit off the end of the bat. Good play by the center fielder, Amarista. But Stanton went first to third. Lucas able to score. And then when Ozuna saw the throw go to third, he took off for second base. Great job all around.
Marquis is going to walk Derek Dietrich to get to Echeverria, who leads the Marlins in grounding into double plays. So the Padres know that. Here's another look at the play and the base running that you talked about.
Watch everybody. Stanton looks over his shoulder. The heads-up play by Amarista. He knows he doesn't have a play at the plate. And then quickly and alertly, when the ball hit Stanton, it didn't skip too far away from him, but Ozuna took off and went to second.
Well, there's ball 4 to Dietrich. And here comes Echeverria.
Boy, this is where Echeverria, Rich, is going to have to take that same game plan he had in the 5th inning. The way he hit the ball, his base hit, he got the first hit off Marquis, singling into center field.
Now, there are some of the folks here for Military Monday enjoying not only the Clevelander, but for the American Forces Network, our Camera 12, which is stationed in the Clevelander in Marlins Park. Fastball right down the middle.
And I don't think we have to tell you how big a second run would look.
Padres hopeful for a ground ball up the middle of their back. Even the corner at third is back. And Marquis got Echeverria right now at 0-2.
And where Echeverria has hit into so many double plays, he's grounded into 14, is that he'll chase a pitch. He's in a tough situation now with the count 0-2. He'll chase a pitch and hit the pitcher's pitch on the ground to short or second or to third.
Echeverria third in the National League, and he goes after a breaking ball and strikes out.
Boy, that just was not a good at bat for Echeverria there. He was exploited by a veteran pitcher.
So the bags are loaded, and here's Mathis, who has walked and has a hit and run single. And of course, the last time the bags were loaded and Jeff Mathis was up, the game was on the line. It was yesterday afternoon, and he put one into the Padres bullpen for a walk-off grand slam. And he hammers that one to left field, and it's deep, and it's off the wall. Scoring is Stanton. Here comes Ozuna. Here comes Dietrich. He's got a score,
and that's Jeff Mathis again.
Jeff bleepin' Mathis into third base. Unbelievable.
Stay hot.
And it's 4-0. Mathis drives in 3 more.
Well, Jeff Mathis now with 14 RBIs with his 10 base hits on the year.
That's production.
Boy, he got a hanging slider. I'm telling you, Marquis hasn't made many mistakes. That one he got up, drilled over the head of Quentin in left field.
Siriaco made a good throw, and Grandal had the plate blocked, but Dietrich slid through it. Feet first, he slid through it, and that's what you like to see.
What you want to do when the guy's got all that gear on.
How many times have we seen over the last few years a base runner, when a catcher has the plate block, try to slide around Matrix-like and put a hand around Dietrich? Now, obviously, the throw had not arrived yet. Dietrich just went feet first right through the roadblock. Hernandez strikes out, and Marquis is out of the inning. But not after Jeff Mathis does more damage with the bags loaded. He drives in 3. And it's 4-0. This provides 3 more. And on to the 7th with Jose Fernandez right now shutting out San Diego. Let's check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Well, Rich, if Jeff Mathis keeps going, he might be catching Henderson Alvarez as well. Alvarez will pitch on Thursday, inserted into the Marlins starting rotation. It'll be Kohler first, and then Nolasco, and then what Mike Redmond says, we'll see what happens after that. But Alvarez is sitting right near us over here. Just outstanding in his rehab starts. He had 4 of them at Jupiter and AA Jacksonville, where he was even more impressive in Jacksonville with those 14 1/3 innings, just 5 hits, no walks, and 13 strikeouts in his history. He has been a guy who gives up a hit or more than a hit per inning, but the Marlins really liked the way he looked in the minors. Obviously, one of the key principles picked up in the trade with Toronto. The question will be, what happens to the rotation on the other side? Is there an Nolasco trade, or does somebody else come out of the rotation? Guys?
Would the Marlins, say Nolasco is not traded in the next week, Craig, do you think the Marlins would go to a 6-man rotation?
Actually, Red was asked that today, and he flat out very quickly said no 6-man.
Gotcha. Well, Alvarez is healthy. His last few starts were outstanding in AA. And Jose Fernandez has gone 3-0 on Carlos Quentin. And he gets a low strike, so low that Quentin had tossed the bat. And now has to make the walk of shame.
Yeah, that is, too.
And you know what? I think he's probably got a beef.
He probably does.
And so the shame is not on Carlos Quentin. Quentin has doubled and struck out. Man, does he have bat speed. He turns and clobbers that one.
Out of Stanford. Went to high school, University High School in San Diego, so he loves being a Padre.
He had 4 really nice years in Chicago with the White Sox. Was an all-star twice. Remember, he started his career in Arizona. Was a first-round pick, 29th overall. With the Diamondbacks. Breaking ball, outside corner, nothing Quentin could do, 10 punch-outs.
He saw the way Quentin was swinging at his fastball. You see a guy pull a fastball as sharply as he did. He dropped it in, a beauty, ties his career high, struck out 10 Cardinals. Jose Fernandez is locked in and pick it.
That one came back even harder than it went in. And Fernandez spears it, saving a hit and saving himself. Headley right on it.
Boy, for a power pitcher, he has himself in pretty good fielding position when he delivers.
And in super slow motion, with eyes closed, and I'm sure he won't be ashamed to admit it, that one is barreled up too. That's driven into center field by Kyle Blanks. Ozuna picks it up. Blanks will hold first with a 2-out single. Just the second hit for San Diego. And that comes with 2 outs here in the 7th inning.
Remember in the first inning, we were talking about Jose Fernandez and how he was trying to keep that hand and everything dry. He likes to pat it down on the mound. And then he rubs it on the right side of the kind of the hip area. You can see all the dirt on that right side.
Yasmani Grandal, switch hitting catcher, 0 for 2. Struck out, bounced out. Mathis smothers it.
Pretty manageable with the pitch count at 85.
High heat. 1 and 2. 2-2.
Well, we talked about it last inning, Rich, trying to take advantage of that Siriaco error, and all 4 runs unearned.
Roller out towards second. Dietrich gathers it in. Jose Fernandez has 7 scoreless innings and 10 punch-outs in the books, and is on his way to the dugout with a 4-0 lead.
For doing what you do. You guys do an amazing job of it. Thank you for giving me peace of mind. Thank you for keeping us safe, and stay strong. We'll see you soon.
American Forces Network with us tonight. An honor to be bringing you Miami and San Diego National League matchup. Watched by United States military in 175 countries and ships at sea. It's a military Monday here in Miami, and the crowd here with a lot of local military first responders. They are here tonight. They've watched a whale of an effort by the Marlins and their 20-year-old starter, Jose Fernandez, the 20-year-old who escaped Cuba when he was 15, got to the United States, got to Tampa, Florida, spent 3 years in high school there. The Marlins drafted him in the first round. 2 years later, as a 20-year-old, he is lighting up the National League and dominating the Padres tonight with 10 strikeouts, 2 hits, and no runs. Jason Marquis, Justin Ruggiano. First pitch, and a sharp 2-hopper out to Forsythe, who gets the out. 1 out in the 7th. And you want to come and see some Marlins baseball in luxury and give your group the true VIP treatment, Legends and Fiesta Suites offer the suite experience on a single game basis and feature all-inclusive food and beverage menus, premium seats, big screen TVs, personal service, and a perfect view of the game. 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com/groups. All right, here's Ed Lucas, and as Tommy pointed out, Joe Thatcher warming up. It was the Pedro Siriaco throwing error on Ed Lucas's bouncer that opened the door for the heroics in the 6th. First it was the Ozuna single, and then the Mathis double that drove in 3.
Yeah, all 4 runs unearned on the line of Jason Marquis.
My heart's racing a little bit right now. That was coming right for my head. It felt like I was saved by the the guardrail right there.
Ball in the dirt. Kevin Slowey in the bullpen. Jose Fernandez is at 89 pitches. Lucas on his way to first. And Giancarlo Stanton steps in.
Been a kind of an unusual game for Jason Marquis. That's his 7th walk. One of those intentional. And he has 4 strikeouts to go along with that. This might be the last hitter he faces.
Well, he's walked Stanton in his last 2 at-bats. He struck him out back in the first. Thatcher is ready. As you pointed out, you got Morrison, the lefty, on deck. So this is probably it. Just about everything he's thrown to Stanton has either been down or out.
That's called staying away from the bat that can hurt you.
That one came back and got the plate. And it's 2-1. Two balls, 2 strikes. Our Toyota trend tonight. 15 wins in June ties the 6th most in club history. And of course, the last 2 Junes for the Marlins have been epic disasters. Last year, 8 wins. The year previous, 5 wins.
Last year in June, 8-18. Then in July, 10-16.
And in both cases, the Marlins were in a good spot coming out of May. Lucas is running. That's off the base, and it pops over Headley's head. He runs back to grab it. By the time he does, Stanton is across first. And it's a tough break for the Marlins, because if it doesn't hit the bag, Lucas has got a chance to score. Quentin doesn't move all that well in left field, and that ball was a rocket. That was going to end up in the corner.
It's going to end up in the corner. Stanton's at second, and Lucas probably scores. Yeah, you're right. But hits right squarely on the bag. And then playing it as Headley to hold both runners. And as expected, that's all for Jason Marquis.
Well, Marquis exits. All 4 of the runs up to this point are unearned. He's responsible certainly for Lucas and Stanton. Thatcher arrives. Our Metro PCS call to the bullpen. 4-0 Marlins lead, as well as being watched on American Forces Network. We want to give a shout out to the closest base here to Miami, right next door in Homestead, the 482nd Fighter Wing, the U.S. Air Force Reserve. A tip of the cap for all that you do. Here, Logan Morrison will face a lefty. Runners first and second, and Morrison calls time and steps off.
Boy, and a lefty that is extremely tough on lefties. Fastballs and sliders, but just watch his motion. It almost looks like Joe Thatcher steps toward the first base dugout.
Morrison takes up. He's got that big sweeping curveball. Guy that works quickly, Tommy. Lucas away from second, and time called. Morrison twice now has called time. Almost walked twice tonight, in the second, in the fourth. He saw one pitch in the sixth, and he hit it hard. But he also hit it at Carlos Quentin, the left fielder. Got a 5-game hit streak.
And against this tough left-hander, the outfield, Padre outfield, really shading in the left field, left center.
Morrison swings and fouls it back.
Quentin's moved over near the line because they know Logan Morrison, his approach against this kind of lefty is really to stay back and try to hit a ball that way.
As we pointed out during this series, San Diego's bullpen is really good and traditionally is thick with arms and low with ERA, a 3.31 ERA coming into play tonight. Morrison does shoot it that way, but it ends up into the seats and a foul ball. Marlins got their 4 runs in the bottom of the 6th inning. Mike Redmond's ball club with the second best record in the National League in the month of June. Calendar has turned to July, and here are the Marlins with a 4-0 lead late against the Padres. Morrison hits that one to left field. Back goes Quentin, still back, reaches, and on the track makes the catch. So Morrison twice has hit the ball hard to left, and this one sent Morrison all the way to the warning track.
Gives you an idea the power that Logan Morrison has, because he reaches out, hits this ball. I think it fools Carlos Quentin a little bit and traveled deeper than he thought. Took him back to the warning track. That's a tough battle when you hit a ball that well against a tough left-hander.
He's had 4 real good at-bats.
Yeah.
Morrison has 2 walks and 2 line drives.
It's one of those nights that you look at the box score, it's not going to show you that.
Ozuna. Now Ozuna's flying out, lined out, and hit a squibber that dropped in over the head of second baseman Logan Forsythe for an RBI single back in the 6th. Stretching Ozuna's hit streak now to 10 games. And delivering the first run of the night. And so here he is again. And he hits that one in the air, left center. Amarista calls and catches. And Thatcher pitches Marquis out of a 7th inning jam. brought to you by Auto Nation.
All right, good morning, good afternoon with a fastball, and good night. Hard breaking balls and fastballs, 10 strikeouts for Jose Fernandez, and he got the support he needed. It started with Marcell Ozuna off the end of the bat driving in Ed Lucas, first run of the game, and then the big blow, a bases clearing triple or a double by Jeff Mathis. He went to third on the throw. How about Mathis with 7 RBIs in the last 2 games? Clutch hitting, outstanding pitching. That's why it's a 4-0 game right now.
And so Fernandez comes out for the 8th inning. Alexei Amarista drives it to left. Ruggiano back, over, and he makes the catch.
Justin Ruggiano will be the first to tell you that slicing semi-line drive off the bat of a lefty is a lot more difficult when you're left field as compared to center field.
That's a great point. People assume center field is the toughest of the positions to play. That's not the case.
You don't have to deal with the hooking liners, slicing liners.
Now you have to have more range and more speed, that's for sure. But judging balls off the bat is a different deal. That's why when the many years we watched Cody Ross play seamlessly from center to left to right. Siriaco. And Fernandez has a couple of quick outs.
Well, he's reached a career high. 7 1/3 was the longest Jose Fernandez had gone in a game. He went 7 1/3 a couple of starts ago in Arizona. Well, he's at 7 2/3 right now.
Now the Marlins bullpen is active and ready with a pair of arms, A.J. Ramos and Dan Jennings. So you get a sense this is the last inning. As Mark Kotsay, who got the start yesterday, Kotsay was 0 for 3, and he'll face Fernandez.
Done a lot of pinch hitting this year. Kotsay with 7 pinch hits on the season.
Verge Smith. That one fouled out of play. And we've acknowledged tonight that many of you watching on the American Forces Network have not seen the Marlins or Jose Fernandez before. If you're wondering about why not let the kid pitch into the 100s, 110, 150 pitches, the Marlins are limiting his innings this year and pitch totals this year. He's only 20, much like the Nationals did with Steven Strasburg last year.
The most he's thrown as far as pitch count, he threw 107 pitches in that 7 innings where he struck out 10 against the Cardinals.
And in a year where the Marlins certainly are not contending, it seems like the smart thing to do.
I will say it's been pretty much a stress-free 97 pitches. If you can call someone who's throwing 97 miles an hour stress-free. And the power breaking ball. I think the best description of that breaking ball is just a power slider, power curveball.
There's the pant leg that you talked about, Tommy. He does not use the rosin bag as much. That was not available for him growing up in Cuba. So he's used to using the dirt. And as a result, the right side of his pant leg has grown dirtier and dirtier as the game has gone.
There's a changeup. Remember we talked a few innings ago about the fact that he hadn't used the changeup a lot tonight.
And the problem he had his last start, it was a lot more humid in this building. Retractable roof, air conditioned, but still humidity here. Right back to him, and Fernandez, 8 shutout innings in the books. Just 2 hits and 10 strikeouts. 100 pitches and a standing ovation. from trying to lobby to stay in the ball game.
He's trying to plead his case with Chuck Hernandez, with Mike Redmond. Come on, just one more inning, he's saying. Such a tough decision.
Now here comes Jacob Turner, who
great.
He threw a complete game the other night. Fernandez sees Turner and says, yeah, he did it.
He did it.
Turner is a little older, and he's still working on it. I mean, he probably believes in his heart that if he keeps working on Chuck, that maybe Dietrich lines one off the glove. Bert Smith, who's come into the ball game, and Smith gets the out.
It has been just tremendous to watch the three young pitchers the last 3 games of this series. Between Turner, Evaldi, and Jose Fernandez. 23 innings. Just 13 hits allowed. Only 1 run, 5 walks, and 17 strikeouts. Tell you what, they've impressed San Diego.
Echeverria, diving stop. Forsythe on his feet, and safe at first is Echeverria. Now, in the conversation that Hernandez is having right now, how much of it is, hey, look, I know you can go. We know you can go. But we'd like to be able to stretch you out as long as we can in September. And if we save an inning here or there, we may be able to buy you another start or 2 in September.
I understand that. And even as an old school guy, you'd love to see him complete the game and get the shutout. But you want to get the most out of him the second half of the season. And I'm sure a lot of that's going on with Chuck and with Jose. They're talking about that.
I mean, 2 years removed from high school.
He might be bargaining just to try to hit again. His spot's coming up.
That's a good point. Echeverria gets an infield hit. Mathis is up.
With just a tremendous performance. Probably his most dominating performance.
You know, one of the guys that he's starting to draw comparisons to is King Felix. See, and he's still lobbying for one more. In terms of what Felix Hernandez, and the runner goes, Echeverria, a strong throw, but not in time. Echeverria gets the bag. Felix Hernandez, the Venezuelan, in his rookie season was phenomenal, and a lot of people are starting to draw the comparison of Jose Fernandez to Felix Hernandez.
It's a good guy to be compared to, King Felix.
And you've got the unique relationship between Chuck Hernandez. Even Ozuna is lobbying on his behalf, but Chuck Hernandez, at the time that Jose was pitching for Alonzo High School in Tampa, Chuck was the pitching coach at the University of South Florida and had recruited and was recruiting him to go pitch. And of course, as the story goes, Chuck got in his car, drove over to watch him pitch, and after he saw him through,
I think it was like just a few innings.
He turned to someone he was sitting next to and said, "This guy's not going to college."
Hey, no way. He's going to sign. He's going to be a first-round pick.
And so as it is, Chuck didn't get to coach him at South Florida, but he gets to coach him here in the big leagues.
First time that Jeff Mathis is retired tonight. We didn't talk too much about it with Greg Dopp standing in. a nice round number. That walk-off grand slam was the Marlins' 3,000th home run in their history. Kind of a nice way to get to 3,000.
Birch Smith is the third pitcher to work for the Padres. Lost it in a lot of this is that Jason Marquis threw well, and all the runs unearned. That may come back a little bit. It's got some weird spin on it. It's a foul ball. Marlins headed to Atlanta. Chevron brings you tomorrow's starters. Tom Kohler, Chris Medlin goes for Atlanta. And if you missed the news, the Marlins are inserting Henderson Alvarez into the rotation. He will start the third game in Atlanta behind Ricky Nolasco. Where the Marlins go from there, they're not sure. Because obviously with Alvarez in the rotation, that's 6.
Well, one thing you know for sure, it's always a tough matchup at Turner Field in Atlanta against the Braves. Braves leading the division with a 48-34 record.
Just swept the Diamondbacks.
They're off tonight.
And so good at home. 28-11. 17 over at home. The Braves are actually 3 under on the road.
Braves are a team that strike out as hitters, but they also have hitters who can hurt you.
To Greg Dobbs. Ruggiano on deck. Dobbs pulls a ground ball, diving stop there at first, blanks, flips, and Birch gets the out. 4-0 to the 9th. The kid lost the debate. Has arrived. Miami has a 4-0 lead over the San Diego Padres. Just 2 hits. Terrific night for Jose Fernandez. Let's check in with Allison Williams. Hey, Dub.
Well, guys, here on Military Monday, we've been talking a lot about the connections between the Marlins and some members of the military. And for Steve Cishek, a friend of his, has certainly been in his thoughts lately. His best friend growing up, well, his sister just left for her 2nd tour. She's in the United States Air Force and currently serving in Afghanistan. And Cishek wanted to make sure that she knew that she is very much on his mind. And her name's Julia Massey, so he has a special jersey that he's going to send over for her. He got one of the Marlins camo jerseys with her last name on it. He's going to have the entire team sign it and send it over to her in Bagram Airfield, Afghanistan. He also said he's going to send her a game-worn jersey of his own, and she can actually take it out into combat with her and then hopefully return it after it has done its tour over in Afghanistan. But he said she's been on his mind a lot, thinking about her during every national anthem. A very good childhood friend of his, Julia Massey. If you're watching, we send you the best. And I know Steve Cishek has been saying a lot of prayers for you and thinking of you lots.
All right, Allison, thank you. Cishek is in the bullpen just in case A.J. Ramos comes in and tries to finish it without having Cishek come in. And a fastball, ground ball, Echeverria. Quick release, right on the money. And Logan Forsythe is out number 1 here in the ninth. Our Cholula Hot Sauce spotlight before he exits. Born in Memphis, played at Arkansas, and a first-round pick.
Quietly, Rich, a nice night for Echeverria, too. A couple of base hits, made some nice plays as usual.
So here's Ramos. And DeNorfia goes after the first pitch and fouls it off. An 0 for 3. There's a lot of 0-fers in the Padre lineups. The double by Carlos Quinton, and that was in the first. And a single by Kyle Blanks in the 7th. Checkers brings you Marlins Live. The Marlins, who were beaten by the Padres on Friday night, look like they're going to win this series. Ramos with a nasty breaking ball, out number 2.
Boy, that's a good pitch. Jose Fernandez's runner's record now 5-4, lowered the ERA to 2.72, and in his 92 2/3 innings, 94 strikeouts. Good breaking ball by Ramos to get DeNorfia. And I might say those are all-star numbers.
I think that's becoming clear, isn't it? All the discussion about who will be an all-star for the Marlins. Our Twitter poll, AT&T Uverse.
Maybe somewhere, Rich, I don't know where the Giants, well, they're playing right now. I thought they were off. They're getting beat 8-1, by the way, in Cincinnati. But maybe somewhere somebody will remind Bruce Bochy about this game.
Well, I think the news is starting to spread, especially with the success of the other young starters, with Turner and Evaldi. There have been some articles nationally.
I'll tell you who will spread the word now, the San Diego Padres.
Quinton takes outside, and it's 2-1. And with the Marlins record, you figure they'll probably only get one all-star. Unless Stanton goes on a tear and blasts 3 or 4 home runs this next week. And it's fouled back. And the question at the start of the night was, could Miami, coming off a terrific June, the second best record in the National League, carry that over into July? Remember, the Padres not only swept them in San Diego, held them to just 1 run, and then drugged them here on Friday night. But the Marlins responded with a win on Saturday. The walk-off grand slam by Mathis yesterday. And a gem of a night by Jose Fernandez tonight. And so Fernandez, who continues to shine, who had a terrific June. Ramos in the air, left field, towards the line. Ruggiano over. And it's out of reach. One final note, if you want to order food directly from your smartphone or upgrade your seats, for the game instantly from the palm of your hand. Download the MLB.com at the ballpark mobile app for these features and more. Plus, check in through the app and earn free tickets. Download the free MLB.com at the ballpark app today. It can also help you figure out earned run average, which for Fernandez is now at 2.72. 3-2 from Ramos. And that's foul back and out of play. It's a young Marlins team that had a miserable April and an awful May. And then suddenly, with the arrival of Logan Morrison and Giancarlo Stanton and the maturation of 3 young pitchers, the Marlins have taken off from the start of June. Pitches in. Jacob Turner, Nathan Eovaldi, and of course Fernandez has been here since day one. Ricky Nolasco has had a solid year as well.
Well, to break it down, the other night, Jacob Turner with his complete game. First for the Marlins this year and first of his career, gave up 7 hits and 1 run. Eovaldi, 6 shutout innings, gave up just 4 hits. And then the 8 shutout innings tonight by Jose Fernandez, giving up just 2 hits.
And think about where the Marlins have been lately. The Marlins, if they win this game, will have taken 3 of 4 from the Padres. They swept the 2-game set from the Twins. They were just in San Francisco and won 3 of 4 in San Francisco against the Giants. They had that battle against Arizona in which every game came down to the 9th inning, and they lost 2 of 3 to Arizona, but that came after taking 2 of 3 over St. Louis.
Basically what you're saying, Rich, they've beaten some good teams.
Liner into center field, base hit. Ozuna's on it quickly, holding at third, and Ozuna with a rocket right to the cutoff man. Holding first is Chase Headley. And now we talked about Mike Redmond not wanting to have to bring Steve Cishek in. Chuck Hernandez is on the horn to see if Cishek is ready.
That's why I never liked, I think it's been something we've seen more of over the last 10 years or so, maybe a little bit more. I've never been a fan of, okay, it's 4-0. Ramos walked Quentin, just letting him take second base. Never been a fan of that. Just my opinion, throwing it out there.
No, I'm with you.
And I think it's something you see more. So Redmond knows that Cishek is ready. He's going to bring him in. So with the possible tying run in the on-deck circle, this does become a save situation.
So Ramos exits, Cishek enters, a Metro PCS call to the pen. Sports Network has been with us from the very first pitch tonight, and as I said it back in the first, it's always an honor for us when you are along with us, wherever you are, 175 countries and ships at sea. You've watched a good one tonight. You've seen a 20-year-old who escaped from Cuba when he was 15 to get to the United States, risking his life 4 times. And now Steve Cishek will try to save this game for Jose Fernandez. Fernandez was spectacular tonight. 10 strikeouts. Gave up 2 hits. Did not give up a run. He lobbied hard to finish the ball game. But as a 20-year-old, just 2 years out of high school, Fernandez on a pretty strict limit in terms of innings and pitches.
And as we've seen, Rich, for all of his starts, will talk to everybody in the dugout at one time or another.
Kyle Blanks is up. Cishek goes to work on Blanks and tries to shut the door on the Padres. Blanks is struck out, lined out, singled. Into the bat and into the seats.
It's another guy, a big part of June. Steve Cishek with 9 saves in the month.
Yeah, that was kind of hidden behind the headline.
Yes,
of
it was.
Of the young starters is the fact that Cishek was brilliant after not having the best of Mays.
Trying to pick up number 15 here tonight.
Cishek, underhands ball game, and the Marlins beat the Padres, win the series, and the kid picks up win number 5 on a special night here in Miami. 10 strikeouts, 8 innings, just 2 hits. Cishek gets the save, and Miami stays hot. The Marlins open July just like they finished June. 4 runs on 6 hits, and once again it was Jeff Mathis that did the heavy lifting offensively. Mathis with a walk-off grand slam yesterday, and today a 3-run double. We'll hear from Fernandez, we'll hear from Mathis when we get back. 4-0, Marlins win it.